Are here on Tuesday, April 9th. The time is 5:30. We are here for the regular meeting of the Coppell City Council. There is a quorum present, so I'll call the meeting to order and we will move to executive session. Hello. We adjourned from executive session at 6:56 and we'll be moving into the work session momentarily. Please join us in the back. Okay, we have everyone back. So the time is 7:42, and let's move into regular session. Today we have the pleasure of having Reverend Rick Williamson here from the First United Methodist Church to help us with the invocation. And then please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
God, we give you thanks for this day and another day of life. Lord, as we gather in this room, we pray for the leaders of the city who are also servants in this city. And we pray for your wisdom and grace to be with them in all the decisions and ideas that are shared. But Lord, help us as part of the people in this process, that we may come with your wisdom also, and your grace, and your peace, as we talk, as we dialogue, as we listen, and all that happens in this room. We ask for your presence and your wisdom to be with us. For it is in God's name that we pray. Amen. Amen.
Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Can't stop.
I know. I do the same thing.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here tonight. Next on our agenda is we have a presentation on the Dallas Love Field Noise Monitoring Program. And we are excited to have Mark Dubner, the Director of Aviation at the City of Dallas, to give us the report. Welcome.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, members of the council, for the invitation to come talk about noise monitoring and some of the new things we're doing at Dallas Love Field, we know that, we actually have a little graphic we'll show you in a little bit, that the Love Field traffic certainly isn't as impactful to the citizens of Coppell as DFW, and I know they're a regular visitor to the city. But we wanted to come, we welcome the opportunity and visit with you and tell you what we're doing and make sure you and the residents of the city of Coppell know who to contact if they have issues with regard to noise and issues around Dallas Love Field. Part of what we do, and as we educate, and we have a Love Field Environmental Advisory Committee that meets quarterly. A big part of our noise program includes education about the limitations that local jurisdictions, City of Dallas owns and operates Dallas Love Field, unlike DFW, which is a separate authority empowered by the state legislature. But both of us are limited by federal legislation that happened in 1990, the Air Capacity and Noise Act, which really took away the ability of local jurisdictions to enact any restrictions on flight activity. Those became the sole purview of the federal government. The bargain with the airlines was they would move all their commercial jets to Stage 3, which are the quietest commercial engines available, and that was done by 1999. And so we struggle with the ability or the inability to really manage traffic in and out of the airport, since that's handled by the air traffic control, the regional control, which is called TRACON, and then the local control. We have a number of residents affected. Unlike DFW, we have very close residential units to the airport. We're an urban airport, and so we do deal with noise issues quite a bit. Part of, and I'm not sure if DFW has visited, one of the things I think the improvements the FAA undertook a couple of years ago was the optimization of the airspace, what we call the WAPM process. And it was to institute new approach and departure procedures, which eliminated sort of the stair-stepping down. It was cleaner takeoff and much smoother descents. It rerouted traffic all around what we call the Class B airspace, which surrounds DFW and Dallas Love Field. And it was meant to improve the efficiency of the airlines and to increase the capacity that the airspace had to handle the traffic. DFW is a very busy airport. We're busy, not nearly as busy as them, but that OAPM process really was meant to improve the movement of the aircraft, make it easier, and things are much cleaner. Airlines no longer fly strictly on headings, given as departure instructions, but they're actually using the GPS waypoints and the GPS guidance systems in the aircraft. We participated in that WAPM process. There was an environmental review, EIS, or environmental impact statement, that the FAA had to go through as part of anything that airports do. We all have to go through NEPA, the National Environmental Protection Act, with regard to environmental issues. That's noise, that's environmental justice, pollution, all those kind of things. So FAA followed that same process, got a number of comments, and the OAPM, the new flight procedures were put in place in the Metroplex about almost 3 years ago. Just so you know, Dallas Love Field has gotten busier. As you may be aware, the Wright Amendment expired. You can now fly nonstop to over 50 destinations out of Love Field. That's my commercial. So we saw a big jump in the flight operations. Love Field is unique even across the country because we have so much general aviation. We have a lot of corporate aircraft at Love Field, which is very uncommon for a commercial airport. It's shrunk, but probably in 2012 we were about 50-50. We had about the same number of private plane departures as we did commercial. That's kind of switched. Now we're about 65-35 with the commercial activity really increasing. You can see the numbers here from 2013 prior to the Wright Amendment, from 177,000 operations. Operation is a departure or a landing, so we count them individually. That's now grown to about 231,000. To give you some perspective, in 2008 we had 220,000. That was sort of the peak before the recession. It really hit the general aviation community heavily. And what's interesting about really the airline industry is we have, until the Wright Amendment went away, we saw a steady decline in number of operations and number of flights, but a steady increase in enplanements or passenger counts. And we all know that because back in mid-2000s, you would book, you almost always have an empty seat. Now when you book a flight, almost every flight is completely full. So the percentage of fullness on planes, what we call load factor, has moved from about the low 70%. Now it's into the mid to high 80s. And Southwest is probably, especially out of Love Field, they're pushing 90% on every flight. So it's very rare. So we're moving a lot of passengers without adding a tremendous amount of flights. The other issue for Love Field is we're seeing an increase of the 737-800s, not the MAX. Those are now all grounded. It's a long-range aircraft, so we saw some connecting MAX through Love Field, but what we've seen in our passenger growth really is the 737-800, which is just longer. It's based on the old 700 series, but they just added 35 more seats to it. So we're seeing passenger increases without seeing a lot of increase in flights. We are federally limited to 20 gates. The one thing I can tell you is we're just about as busy as we're going to be. So we have a 20-gate cap. We are averaging over 10 flights per day per gate, which is probably the busiest terminal in the country because we're limited to 20 gates. So we've added a few flights. Southwest added about 15 flights in January. However, there's really not much more room. And because we can't add gates, you really won't see much of an increase. We're looking for, even though we had almost 100% growth from 2013 over 2018, from about 8 million passengers a year to last year we hit 16 million, we're really leveling off. So that's the one sort of bright spot for Love Field, unlike DFW, which really has unlimited growth potential and activity. So our noise program, we had several things in place prior to 1990. We had a voluntary noise abatement procedures, or a set of them. We use a preferential runway program, which asks, that's not necessarily good for the citizens of Coppell because it asks all the departing traffic to use the western side of the airport, which is the runway which, we'll see in the graphic, really is the departure path, which cuts the corner of the southeast corner of Coppell in the flight path out of Love Field. We also have on the southern departure, which is when we have southern flows, when they depart to the south, we actually have a Trinity departure, which they veer off, but because of the conflicts with DFW, they don't use that departure very often. You'll notice on a map, DFW, when it was planned, has north-south runways, 1836, 180 degrees, 360. That's what those numbers mean at the end of the runway, right? They're the compass heading, less the last zero. So they're north-south, but we're southeast northwest. So we have a 1331 heading. So we are always in conflict whenever we're in northern flow. When the winds are out of the north, our planes head towards the planes leaving DFW. So that always makes for a congested airspace. We also have a limit or prohibition for engine run-ups late at night. We have residences that are within 1,500 feet of the hangars. So we have very close proximity, so we really try to keep a lid on those maintenance run-ups in the evening. So as you can imagine, when the Wright Amendment was repealed, we saw a large increase in complaints. We have a dedicated noise staff. Paul Merlick is the manager of that group. He's with me today. Say hi, Paul. As part of our environmental group, like I said, we have the Love Field Environmental Advisory Committee, meets quarterly, talks about noise issues and other environmental issues. So we track our complaints. We're accountable to the City Council of Dallas, so they often want to know how we're doing, what we're doing to bring complaints down. So in 2013, 2014 had quite a big spike with over 2,000 complaints. That has steadily diminished. We've worked with the residents. We've tried to get balanced runway usage where we're using both runways equally. And that seems to have mitigated that. The other thing we like to track and try to make our council aware of is, even though you see a large number of complaints, we also report in individual households complaining. So we have some residents who want to make sure we have heard their complaint, and they lodge a complaint 3-4 times a day. So we track all those individually, but we also want to kind of track the numbers of individuals. So you can see even at that peak, it was about 260 households, and that's come down to about 70 individual households that are lodging complaints. We have received, for that period, the last 5 years, 4 complaints from the city of Coppell. So we do track. This graphic shows you last year we received 2 complaints in the city of Coppell, largely about, and we'll show the graphic, the Southwest flights that were arriving over that corner of city or town of Coppell. So we do track. We try to give them information, and I think if this will queue up right. The one thing we have done to improve that customer service is we feel like even if you're complaining, you're still one of our customers. We had a public portal where you could watch flights, you could log complaints, you could track, go back in history and track flights and try to provide information as part of the complaint. It wasn't very user-friendly. We got a lot of complaints. You had to set up an account. Certain, folks felt like we were now tracking them. So we have revised that. And we've, one of the first airports, this is our old public portal, just so you know, it was very confusing. It wasn't intuitive. So we went out, we wanted to modernize that whole tracking system. One of the things are noise contours, and I'm sure DFW has shared with them. Folks believe that we construct those noise contours, those rings around the airport with certain decibel level, day-night average levels of noise, actually measuring noise in the field when, in fact, now all of that's done virtually. They'll take all of the aircraft, each aircraft has a noise signature, put in a big computer program, track all the actual flights, and that's how those contours are constructed. But we committed to our advisory committee to install new noise monitors. We had very old ones. We had about 13. They were hooked via old phone lines. Some of them worked, some of them didn't. So now we've got 4 new solar powered, which track real time, show the spikes, the decibel levels, the actual levels, so folks can look at that. The other thing with the new portal, we want to make sure we do have a very diverse population around Love Field. We've got all income levels, nationalities, all the way around. We're surrounded by residential, and we wanted the noise portal to be a lot more user-friendly. Folks wouldn't have to jump up out of bed at 11 o'clock if they wanted to go look and see what a flight number was to lodge a complaint. It'll allow them to go back in time. We'd like them to go back to sleep, and then the next morning they can look up the flight and submit that so we can chase. The main goal for us on especially the preferential runway program is to find folks that aren't using the western runway after 9 p.m. That's our number one complaint. It's a challenge. We have a lot of, like I said, general aviation. Commercial flights are easy. We can go to the chief pilot, talk about the flight. He could talk about how they're educating their pilots, what instructions they're giving them. The GA community, these private planes, the tail numbers will tell you who the aircraft is registered to. And that sometimes is 10 steps away through LLCs and corporations in the Bermuda to find out who's actually operating the plane. So the challenge we have has been to track down the actual operators. We installed last year, fully functional, a new system called Vector, which is actually takes a photo of the tail. We implemented a general aviation landing fee at Love Field, which we didn't have in the past. And Vector is a system that we not only bill, but we also can verify with a photograph of departing aircraft in case there's a dispute. Whether someone says, well, I didn't take off then, we could say, well, we have a picture of you at the end of the runway. Unless you were just parked there, which we find highly doubtful, we're pretty sure you took off when this picture was taken. Just some look at the noise monitors we're starting to install. The latest one was in Bachman Lake Park. So our new noise portal is what we call Noise Lab. A lot easier to use, a lot more, and I've got a link on this website, so if it's posted on the city website, folks can click on that link, take you right to our portal, allow you to run your own, you can gather your own data, you run your own reports, you can track flights, you can go back in history, check on something. It really is a pretty impressive system. See just kind of just a screenshot. You can even log complaints there. We have a number of ways you can log a complaint. We have it on our website. You can call 214-670-LOVE, which is our 24-hour communication center. Log a complaint. You can contact our noise staff. We have a noise coordinator that works for Paul. Her email is available via the website, or you can go on the portal and log complaints there. Like I said, you can watch live or previous flights. You can wind back in time, and we've made it bilingual in English and Spanish. So this gives you, this is 1 hour of flights in a 1 minute time frame. So you can see the heavy traffic coming off the DFW, which is, I think that's to the left of the screen. That's your DFW inbound, outbound traffic, and then you can see Love Field in that lower right corner. So in 1 minute, this is 1 hour of flight, so it's a steady stream of flights in and out. And you can see the red planes, which are SWA, which are all the Southwest. The new OAPM brings you right across the blue outline of the town limits, which runs them right over the corner of your city before they turn on final approach to Love. So when we're in southern flow, those arriving flights will come right over that corner of the city. And that's really what's generated the name, the complaint so far. The reporting features, you can look at numbers of flights too. It also gives you decibel levels or distribution of those decibel levels, departing and arriving. Of course, departing aircraft are much noisier than the arriving, but it gives you those figures, facts and figures on the portal as well. Allows the residents, if they want, to create charts about activity and noise levels various times of the day. You can generate your own PDFs, attach them to emails, however you want. So it's very, very helpful system. We also are going to be updating. There's several other things we're going to do. It'll be better integrated. We've got a new Dallas Love Field website. If you use Love Field, which I hope you do, DFW is not the only airport. We are updating our website to give you better information on the TSA checkpoint wait times. We also have online payment and reservation in our new parking facilities. We've got a brand new Garage C. So we've got a lot of features we're going to be rolling out. The noise contours to fully inform everybody what's going to be going on with our activities, closures of runways, which push traffic off one side or the other. So we're really just trying to be much better about pushing information out and make sure everyone's well informed about what we're doing. The updates to the system, we have a noise monitor tab where we actually go in and look at each of those noise monitors and see what sort of measurements they're capturing. Traffic, just like we looked at there, showing the traffic patterns, and then interactive page with complaints. Not only show where they're coming from, but also resolution. One of the other things folks want to know is, well, you say there's a bunch of complaints, but then we never see what, even though I didn't complain about it, I might be interested in how that complaint was resolved or what was done. So we want to make sure we're a bit more transparent on how we resolve those complaints and what we do. One of the complaints has been at Love Field in the preferential runway is residents wanting the local control, what we call, which is ground control at Love Field, which gives instructions on taxiing at the airport and departure when they're cleared for departure. Once they get in the air, then they're handed over to the regional control. One of those complaints is the local control isn't saying generally a pilot will request a runway. Our residents really want the tower to say, no, you can't have the eastern runway, you got to go off the left. And the FAA has been very adamant that they will not, they might suggest to a pilot, but the tower will not deny a pilot. So a pilot is a captain. He has a lot of rights. He has a lot of responsibilities, but he has a lot of rights in the FAA's mind. If they request a runway, the FAA will grant them unless there's a compelling reason not to do so. One of the things the new system will be able to do is attach the actual audio between the tower and the pilot to see if there's any gentle suggestion on the part of the FAA or the pilot refused, if the pilot was adamant about using the eastern runway. The main issue we have for the evening flights, the eastern runway is where most of our general aviation hangars are. If you've ever gone southbound on Lemon, you can see all of those hangars. That's where a lot of our corporate aviation is flying out of. So they don't want to taxi all the way to the other side of the airport. And we do have pilots who just ignore our request to use those runways in the evening. So not that you would believe that a pilot would do whatever he wants, but it does happen. So kind of big picture, what we're doing at Love Field, we want to be available to City of Coppell and to you, Your Honor, and members of the council. Provide whatever information. We'd be glad to provide links to places on your website. We want to continue the conversation, make sure we're available, serve your citizens. Even though we're a City of Dallas entity, we do recognize we have impact beyond the boundaries of the city, so we want to continue to be available and provide good levels of customer service to your residents as well as the city residents. So with that, we have the contact, the links. Like I said, 214-670-LOVE. That's our main number. Call with any issue about Love Field. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions on the part of the council or however you wish, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. We do appreciate you taking the time to come out here. We do have, I've been told that there is a link on our website, so people can go to pardon me?
The Noise Lab.
The Noise Lab. For the DFW, or Dallas
Field.
Love, sorry.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Habit. Any questions from council? Appreciation. Thank you very much for being here.
And whenever you need us to come out and visit, either with you or groups of your residents, just feel free to contact me or I think the city manager has our contact information. Let us know, and we'd be happy to come out and do what we can.
Appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council.
The next item on our agenda is the consideration of approval of a proclamation naming April 1st through April 30th, 2019 as Wayland's Mayor's Challenge for Water Conservation Month. There is not someone here specifically to accept this proclamation, but I set the proclamation to the council for your consideration. Has everybody had a chance to read it? Councilmember Roden.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve item 8, a proclamation naming April 1st through 30th as the Wayland Mayor's Challenge for Water Conservation Month.
Second by Councilmember Mays. All in favor?
Long, Hinojosa, Smith, Mays, Roden, Yingling, Matthew Hill. In favor, none opposed. The motion carries.
As this happens, you will see more and more information come out publicly about water conservation. As we get into the summer months, people have a tendency to use far more water watering their lawns than they use inside the houses. So just this will hopefully help people be aware of the proper way to water and not to water the day or the evening that it rained all day. See some little items out there. There's nothing stranger than when you're walking down the street and you're walking your dogs and it's raining and somebody's sprinkler is going off. You wonder, I know it's automatic, but hopefully we'll add some awareness to that. Item 9, I would like to bring Shelley Holly forward, who is the library director of the Frisco Public Library. and she has a presentation to give to Dennis Quinn. Please.
Yes, I am pleased to be here. And yeah, Dennis, if you want to join me. I've been told that I talk too softly. I use my library voice in all the wrong times. So please, if you can't hear me, tell me to speak up. But I am delighted to be here as a representative of the Texas Municipal League Library Directors Association. It's a mouthful. To present your library, and Dennis, with your 14th, and that's a big deal, your 14th Texas Library of Excellence Award. And Dennis, I'm going to hand this to you, and then I'm going to talk about how great it is that you've got it. This is one of the most difficult awards to accomplish in the state of Texas because there are 10 criteria that you are judged on all year long. It's not a one-off award because you had the biggest event on one thing, or you pulled off a summer reading program, or you did great publicity, or anything like that. There are 10 criteria that we measure you against all year. The applications, when they used to send them in binders instead of a file, would come in. We finally had to tell people you couldn't mail us binders any wider than 4 inches because it was just getting too much in the postage. But because we measure the criteria so extensively, and so it is a remarkable accomplishment when a library gets the Texas Library of Excellence Award, and 14 years running is a really big deal. There are over 550 libraries in the state, public libraries in the state of Texas, and less than 10% get this award. So your library is one of a very elite group. I wanted to also especially recognize your library because you have done a remarkable accomplishment in pulling together community partnerships and bringing in the community to your library through that community commons element so that you bring in a disparate group to the library who might not otherwise think of using the library as a tool. And that community commons draws in, it functions almost like, I'm going to use a kind of a casual term, but a living room for your community. It's a gathering space, a conference center. And I stopped by the library on my way over here. Every room was in full use. And all the conference rooms, all the study rooms, the community commons down at the end, and then the big open space. All the tables were taken, and the bar where people can set up their own computers, every seat all the way along the line. In fact, when I got here, I couldn't find parking because every parking space was taken, and so I ended up parking at the school next door. So it is a hopping place, and it is something to be proud of. You all have done a remarkable job. Kudos to Dennis and his team, and to the mayor and council and city management, because we know a successful library is a team effort. And so congratulations to all of you.
Thank you very much. Dennis, do you have something you'd like to add? Is this your first time in public as the director of the library?
Indeed it is.
Turn around.
Okay.
Sees your face.
I'll use this one instead.
Very good.
Thank you. Yes, Mayor, this is my first time standing in public in this forum as the Director of Libraries for the City of Coppell, and it is an immense honor to do so. I joined the city almost 2 years ago as Assistant Director when our own Vicky Civetta was acting as Library Director for, had been doing so for quite some time. And I guess I can't put it better right now except to stay standing here accepting this award on behalf of the library and all the library supporters. I'm intensely aware of how I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. You know, there's a strong legacy of community support and goodwill and high excellence in library services for this community, and I'm happy to be the latest role player in that tradition. Shelley was right that community partnerships are one of the areas that we really have leaned heavily in for the past couple of years, especially since our renovation of 2016, our current strategic plan, really leveraging the talent and the expertise that is latent throughout our community and putting that on display and giving it a spotlight through the library. In that way, the library really is the spotlight of the community and a venue and a vehicle through which all members of our community can benefit from our shared collective knowledge. We can come together around common interests, around common concerns, common topics that impact all of us. And it's an immense pleasure and honor to be carrying forward that tradition in my current role. I know the team that I work with, the stellar team that I work with, they get their energy coming up every day to help serve this community in that capacity. So all around, I don't know what else I can say except how much of an honor it is. So thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Shelley.
That might have been interesting. So what a better way to end this is to counsel all of, yes, please come forward. Volunteers, the board, please come forward. Item 10, consider approval of a proclamation naming April 7th through 13th, National Library Week, and authorizing the mayor to sign. So here before us, we have a lot of the volunteers, and so please consider this proclamation. Whereas today's libraries are not just about I'm sorry, I'm still falling down that stair. Okay. Whereas today's libraries are not just about what they have for people, but what they can do for people. And whereas libraries have long served as trusted and treasured institutions where people of all backgrounds can come together and connect. Whereas librarians and library workers look beyond their traditional roles to build strong communities throughout transformative opportunities for education, employment, entrepreneurship, empowerment, and engagement. Whereas libraries are the cornerstone of democracy, leveling the playing field by providing free access to information and by promoting a free exchange of information and ideas among people. Whereas libraries are a resource for all members of the community, regardless of race, ethnicity, creed, ability, gender identity, sexual orientation, or socioeconomic status. Whereas librarians and library workers partner with other civic organizations to make sure their community needs are met. Whereas the Cosby Library and Community Commons has been serving the city of Coppell in all of these ways and more since 1974. Whereas libraries, librarians, library workers, library volunteers, and library supporters across America are celebrating National Library Week, I, therefore, Karen Hunt, the mayor of the city of Coppell, do hereby proclaim National Library Week as April 7th through the 13th, 2019, in the city of Coppell, and encourage all residents to visit their library this week, engage with the librarians, and explore the world of possibilities available there. Because of you and our library leaders, libraries transform. In witness thereof, I've set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Coppell to be affixed this 9th day of April, 2019. Councilmember Mays.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve item number 10, a proclamation naming April 7th through the 13th, 2019 as National Library Week and authorizing the mayor to sign.
Second by Councilmember Yingling. All in favor?
Long, Hinojosa Smith, Mays, Roden, Yingling, Matthew Hill in favor. None opposed. Motion carries.
Do you want to introduce your board members? Okay, introduce yourself.
I'm Sherry Carr Smith.
I'm Frank Sparrow. I'm on the board as well as the cultural committee and also a member of the Friends of the Coppell Library, which if you'd like to learn more about that organization, coppellfriends.org. And we do a lot of things like the book sale, authors visits, literacy packs for children, etc. So check us out.
I'm Pankaj Jain.
I'm Jan Lorraine.
I'm Matthew Doop.
I'm Adrienne Morton.
Madeline White.
I'm Mohammed El Mogi.
Steve Charters.
Bobby Baumgarten.
And Dennis Quinn, as previously stated.
And will everyone here give a round of applause to these volunteers? Do you have anything else you want to add?
Just a brief thing. Just to add a bit of context, the majority of folks joining me up here near the dais are library board members, library advisory board members. There are a few others from other groups that are associated with the library. Mr. Amugi is associated with our cultural committee, and Mr. Charters and Ms. Baumgarten are associated with the Friends. And I think the picture of the folks that we have standing up here on the stage is a good sense of the variety of walks of life, the variety of backgrounds that we have represented among the people who have a very active role in determining what goes on at the library and through the library. And the theme for this year's National Library Week, which by the way is the 61st annual National Library Week, the theme this year is Libraries Equal Strong Communities. And I think the city of Coppell and the community of Coppell knows a thing or two about that, given our history, the history of our library, and the level of activity that we have going on, and the efforts that the library staff and the library supporters and library volunteers have been putting into the topic of making sure that we have that representation that we need to make sure that the library is actually and actively serving the needs of its community. And it's one of the many things, in addition to what I said earlier, one of the many things that makes us all so proud of the library that we have going on in support of this community. So it seems appropriate that the American Library Association finally got around to singing our song. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you again for each and every one of you and how you contribute. We appreciate you. Thank you. Last time I went down that side, I almost fell. So I'm going down that side. I'm going down that side from now on. And we have the annual report from the library board is our next item.
Good evening.
Good evening. This is library night. This is good.
No, I've been up here way too much, but I'm happy to be up here. My name is Adrienne Morton. I've served on the library board for the city of Coppell for 6 years. This is my second year serving as chairperson of the board. And prior to my service on the library board, I was an avid library user, and I still am, definitely more so than I ever was before in my life. As you know, and as has been discussed at length tonight, the city of Coppell has a healthy library. Indeed, and nowhere is this more apparent than in the library's program numbers. And so I'm going to start off with some numbers, but they're exciting numbers. The total number of programs offered year to date is 17% higher than this time last year. So we've increased our programs offered. And total program attendance, so not only have we increased our programs offered, we've actually increased overall attendance, even though we're now offering more. So that's up 38% for the same period. This is due largely to the library's continuing efforts in seeking out partnerships with residents and community members. And we do this to better understand the needs and interests of our community and to better meet them and to serve everyone. As an example, As an example of this, the library's spring break programs, in particular, from 2019, These serve as a notable example of a program that surpassed its own mark from the previous year, drawing almost double the attendance over 5 days in 2019 than it drew in 2018. And they had various programs, including Minute to Win It, Mythbusters. They were all very engaging. Computer and internet usage is also up over 2018, with Wi-Fi sessions up 7%, and users logging 9% more hours on library workstations year-to-date over the last fiscal year. What we've seen in general is that metrics pertaining to the experiential components of the library services are increasing overall. The most traditional, The most traditional measure of library activity is the circulation of collection materials. And this number is stable. It's slightly below fiscal year 2018. It should be noted, however, that the Cosby Library is currently well into the 99th percentile of Texas libraries in terms of circulation per capita, currently measuring between 14 and 15 checkouts per person per year. Since the size of the collection cannot currently feasibly be increased due to physical constraints, the best way at this time to further enhance the library's service to the community through the collection is by more dialogue with the community to increase awareness of what is there, and to ask for input on what we need to have there. One subset of the library's circulating materials, however, is seeing a sustained increase in activity. Circulation of digital content continues to rise year after year, with 20% more ebook circulation and 50% more e-audiobook circulation in the first 2 quarters, or in the first 2 months of fiscal year 2019 than over the same period in fiscal year 2018. And this is largely attributed to the quality and the content that we have available. We use the CloudLink platform, and as a result of the library's participation in an interlocal content sharing agreement with a growing number of libraries across the state. And currently, that collective consists of over 20 libraries, and there's an aggregate collection of over 100,000 titles that are offered. So this growth is easily explained. The growth and development of the library can also be seen in a variety of new programs, events, resources, and services that have debuted within the last year. The library recently pilot tested a curated art exhibit, which you are seeing, and based on its reception, staff will present a policy for consideration at an upcoming meeting of the library board. And this, if you didn't have a chance to experience this, it was beautiful and fascinating. It was art inspired by science. And it was all throughout the library, and it got quite a response. There were always people looking at it, maybe getting a little too close, so tell people back up. The Human Library and Meet Your Immigrant Neighbor brought community members from a variety of backgrounds together to learn from and about each other. Chinese and Portuguese storytime proved popular with our younger citizens and got an enthusiastic reception from all of their parents, and are but 2 examples of the many library programs that originated as community partnerships. So we've actually had people contact us and offer to do programs with us. As you know, I'm skipping around. Okay, so Portuguese storytime, and then I'm going to go back to this. Sorry. As you know, in the fall of 2018, a storybook walk was constructed in Town Center Plaza, and that was the result of a partnership between a local Eagle Scout, Drew Nance, the Friends of the Coppell Public Library, and the city's Parks Department. In spring of 2019, the library held a contest inviting local students to design and create their own storybook, and the winning works will be displayed in the storybook walk, and they're also in the library's collection. So these young people who contributed these books actually have materials circulating in the library, and they're bound copies in there. So we're very excited for them, and they're very excited. The first of the winning works is already on display, and tomorrow the library is going to be holding its first story time at the plaza. So if you're not busy at 10:30 in the morning, you can walk over and enjoy their first story time. And I'm going to try to find a photo. I'm so sorry. Okay, it's not in here. The library also tried a new program, a family escape room. It was geared toward all ages, and I am happy to say that I was one of the first attendees, and my family was locked in a room, and we managed to get out. It took a little longer than usual because we decided to let our 5- and 7-year-old guide us, and we might have lived in that room had we not worked with them. But it was an exciting program, and we're happy that they are trying new things. It was a lot of fun to use the library in a new way. And in December and in May, the library hosts an exam cram, and this is an opportunity for students to come to the library and maybe be in spaces that they wouldn't normally be, and at times that they wouldn't normally be there, to prepare for upcoming exams. And they can work together, they have a quiet space, they have a safe space, and they have a lot of space. The Coppell Community Orchestra and Chorale continue to appear regularly at the library, showcasing the talent of many of our local artists. And I'm pretty sure that the inaugural presentation of the Coppell Community Orchestra took place at the library. We also have, and I know I have a picture of this, we also have teen-oriented programs such as painting with Bob Ross. And one of our librarians, the librarian who I believe actually spearheaded this, Morgan Griffin, gave a summary of this program, and her words are perfect. Teen-oriented programs such as Painting with Bob Ross give teens an opportunity to engage artistically, emotionally, and socially. Bob Ross makes sure to remind people that no one is perfect. People regularly make mistakes, but there are so many ways to turn those mistakes into happy accidents. The event encouraged a shift from, I ruined my painting, to, I guess I'll turn that into a Yeti, or my painting has to look just like Bob Ross's, to, my purpose here today is to enjoy myself. Creating an event where you focus on the enjoyment of an activity and not the outcome helps develop self-awareness and self-management skills. Being able to focus negative energies and shift definition of success creates foundations for a more fulfilling life. This event, Painting with Bob Ross in particular, also generated a lot of conversation and interest, attracting several newcomers who had not been regular participants in library programming. A mother of 2 teens thanked library staff for offering the program, as she had been struggling to find social activities that interested one of her daughters. One group of teens came by the program out of curiosity and ended up staying for 40 minutes painting. We've also tried branching out with different story times, such as sensory story time, and this pays attention to the needs of those who have sensory sensitivities. So it is about inclusion, and it's about being friendly to those who are diverse in that way, who need to experience the world in a certain way in order to feel safe and enjoy it. Recently, the Friend sponsored a collection of portable charging wallets, and these are now available for use within the library, and they're compatible with almost all mobile devices. They've been enthusiastically received by library users. I have found myself in need of one myself, and they work really well. The library's online reservation platform launched in January of 2019 and has greatly improved the transparency of availability of library space and streamlined the reservation approval process. And this has saved a lot of staff time, and I'm sure a lot of frustration on the part of the public because they can actually see what's going on. Solstice pods were recently installed in many library spaces to allow for wireless connection to library TVs as external displays. The system is intended to make it easier and more convenient to use the display systems in library rooms. And it also minimizes the wear and tear of the hardware, so it's easier on the system. It's easier for everybody. Access on-demand video was recently added to the library's electronic resources and had an impact almost as soon as the link was active in the library's catalog, as staff were able to help a patron get streaming access to a film that they had previously requested through interlibrary loan, but which no holding library was willing to lend. So we were able to give them access to it that way. And this is a lot, and there's more. But none of these additions to the library's menu of services are just for the sake of having something new. Each of them specifically responds to a demand or a need that's been observed or voiced by library users, or that has appeared in the community at large. So we're trying to address what our community needs. This pattern holds true for the library's policies as well. In the last 12 months, library staff and the library board have completed a comprehensive review and refresh of all of the library's policy documents and have recently been more closely examining the terms of availability of certain reservable spaces. And we're doing that by actually monitoring the usage patterns of all the spaces in the library. And so there's going to be another policy brought before the board soon, hopefully for adoption. Staff has also recently begun taking a serious look at the degree to which the languages represented in its collection reflect the many languages that are used in our community. So we want to make sure that there's representation, that there's availability for use. So now let's talk about fiscal responsibility. In doing all of these things, the library also strives to remain fiscally responsible and continues to be good custodians of the public funds entrusted to it. Staff works hard to minimize budget increases, and when an increase is necessary, to maximize the impact of the additional dollars requested. The proposed budget for fiscal year 2019 only saw a 3% increase over the prior year's budget, mainly in the areas of personnel costs and initiating planned maintenance on projects from recent years. Capital costs, consisting entirely of collection, development, and maintenance, remain the same, and the cost areas of supplies and services actually decreased. The library is finding ways to maximize its impact on the community with minimal increase in resources required. Materials used in programs and craft activities are responsibly sourced, and they are often utilized multiple times in multiple programs. So you will see something again and again, especially if you are the mother of a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old who attends after-school programs at the library. And I appreciate how creative and resourceful they are with the materials that they have on hand. Volunteerism at the library continues to increase, as volunteers contributed over 1,500 hours of service in fiscal year 18, and is on track to reach 2,000 hours, which is the equivalent of one full-time position, by the end of fiscal year 2019. In addition to increasing capacity, this is also a way in which members of the community play an active role in the success of their library in their community. So just to recap, the library is healthy, it's robust, and it's growing. The library is focused on the needs and the interests of our community, and the library is striving to do these things in the most physically responsible way possible. In the words of Nina Simon, I always want to call her Nina Simone. Nina Simon, Executive Director of the Santa Cruz Museum of Art and History, in order for our cultural institutions to serve their communities to the fullest, they need to be of, by, and for the community they serve. And as you so perfectly put, a successful library is a team effort, and we're really grateful that you're part of our team and that you're contributing so much to our success. Do you have any questions for me this evening?
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? It's evident to get the Library Excellence Award and then everything that you've told us that are new and different on top of the regular things that you guys do. It's amazing. And again, thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Item 12, a presentation from the Coppell Arts Council regarding the 2019 Old Town Art Splash. Welcome.
Hello. Just open this.
Yep. Thank you all for coming.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name is Taria Greenberg, and I'm here tonight with Ed Guillon to represent the board of the Coppell Arts Council. We're here to give you an update on what we've been doing. The Coppell Arts Council includes the theater, the Coppell Community Chorale, the orchestra, and Coppell Creatives. And tonight, what I would like to present to you is the fine arts component that we've been working on. Over the last year, we've held 3 exhibits in conjunction with George. coffee and provisions. We had more than 40 entries from our most recent one, for example. We're really looking forward to the new art center and the gallery space it will provide, so we don't have to be dependent upon other businesses and their restrictions on timing and when people want white walls. This last exhibit that we had was actually juried by the director of the Frisco Art Center, so that was really exciting to bring in other communities, and she was very impressed with what we had been doing. We had people of all ages who entered the exhibit, and we've had the last 3 exhibits we've had were Shades of Green, which was focusing on Coppell, we're a green community. This is My Coppell, which was a photography exhibit, and most recently The Power of Words to tie in with the library. On the horizon, we have next a sustainable art exhibition, so that'll be open to interpretation, whether it be sustainable materials or if it's focusing on upcycling. We are also working on developing a schedule with the New Coppell Arts Council for exhibits. We'll be helping curate those exhibits. We're really excited about this. For example, I've been in contact with the Texas Quilt Museum about bringing in some quilts to go with our theme for the first year, which I don't know if you know what it is or not, but if not, I'm not going to tell you, but it's really exciting. And then we're also going to do so we're also working with the North Texas Printmakers Guild about having a steamroller print on that theme. The steamroller print is where instead of using a press to print, we actually use a steamroller to drive over the blocks. And it attracts it's really exciting and really funky and cool, and it attracts crowds. And I'm hoping we can bring printmakers from all over the state to come, which would help visibility and really create the Arts Center as a landmark for other artists and communities. And my phone locked. Okay. Yes. So next, I want to talk to you about, for the Coppell Nature Park, the sculpture selection was to honor the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts who have served the Friends of Coppell Nature Park, many of which have received the highest ranking of Eagle Scout or the Gold Award in the case of the Girl Scouts. We helped organize the call for art. We had 10 entries. We met with the nature park and sat down with them and looked through them and the city staff, and we selected this particular one. This is a rendering of it. It will be installed before the Friends, their anniversary in the fall. We will, and they will split the purchase with the Friends of Coppell Nature Park. This will be the first public art donation from the Coppell Arts Council to the community. We're really excited about this. The sculpture details, as it looks in the picture, it's Pascal Pryor. She's a Dallas artist. She came out recently with pieces of glass. This is it's very stable glass. It can't be broken. She came out recently with different samples of different colors and looked at it throughout the day to get a sense of which colors would look best with this particular site. The only modification to this rendering is that we want to integrate some gold elements to represent the trefoil that for the Gold Award that the Girl Scouts receive. Also, we want to talk to you about saving Red Pony. So as we install the new art exhibit in Old Town, we really want to keep the Red Pony because we are the Coppell Cowboys or Cowgirls, and so we just feel like it's a wonderful piece to have in our community. We have leased it for an additional 2 years. The artist has given us a reduced price that we can work towards, and we will count the 2-year rental towards that new reduced price. We currently have a fundraising campaign. A private citizen has said that they would match the first $1,000, and we hope to complete the purchase before 2021. Also, are hoping to, we've also negotiated a reduced price for King Crow, which is by one of the gardens, the community gardens. We would like to announce that the donation, it's been actually donation, we've negotiated a reduced price and secured a private donor. We're really excited to announce that the private donor is Carrie and Jason McCann and Chris and Cliff Long, and we'd like to thank them for their wonderful contribution to this community. Serves great art. So, thank you. Thank you. I love that crow, and I'm so excited that's the piece that you decided to help with. We're really, really excited. So thank you to everyone who's helped with that. And now I'm going to turn it over to Ed to talk to you about the Art Splash.
Good evening, everybody. So Art Splash is the name that we have for our outdoor sculpture exhibitions in town. There's 2 of them right now. So I want to give you a little bit of a background, a history, and then talk about what we're doing currently with it as we go forward. So if you remember, in first quarter of 2017, we installed 11 sculptures in the Old Town Senior Center type of area and had a kickoff event, an art stroll, to get that thing going. And then in second quarter of 2018, we put a second installation of 11 structures in the Andy Brown Park and had a follow-on art stroll, kind of a kickoff of that as well. So each of those is a 2-year exhibition, and we've obviously got them staggered by a year, and so every year we'll get a refresh of art coming through the city, which we think will keep it vibrant and new for everybody in the community as we go forward. Funding for those has been through a generous grant through the city, as well as fundraising that we've done on the Arts Council. And one of our objectives on the Arts Council is to, over time, be able to fund some of these to stay on a permanent type of basis. So Red Pony is one that we're trying to make happen as our first one there as well. So here we are in first quarter of 2019. It's time to refresh the Old Town Senior Center, and I wanted to go through what we've selected as part of that. So first off, just the process reminder of what we go through. We went out earlier in the year for a call for art. We got about 35 respondents to that from around the North Texas region. And as we typically do, we put a committee together with 3 of the Art Council members, 3 citizens, a youth advisor, and city staff. And from that, we selected 10 new sculptures that will be involved in this. And city has reviewed them for safety issues and location and things like that, so we have some proposed locations to go along with it as well. So let me run through those with you real quick so you see what we've come up with. These are all, as in the past, these are pretty good size sculptures, so they're generally 6 foot or above kind of things. This one's 6.5 foot tall, called Untitled Number 1. And this is the same artist who we installed one in Andy Brown Park called Atlas, the woman holding up the world. And we like some of his stuff that's a little bit less abstract. And so this one will be located in the back patio at the Senior Center. Okay. Second one, We Are Family. This we think fits in well with the family theme of the city. And also the different colors represent the diversity of families within the community as well. So we think this will be a good fit in the Old Town Lawn area as one of the main sculptures there, along with Red Pony and some others. This is a pretty good size one, about 9 foot tall as well. Next one, a little bit whimsical on this one. Candy Cupcake Mama. This is about 6 foot tall. This one's going to be located at Main Street, right where it intersects with Houston as you come into the Old Town area there where the yellow one was previously. Pretty good sized one. We think will attract some attention and get families and kids interested as well. Okay, the Feather. This one about 10 foot tall. This is a steel structure with painted and stained reflective steel on it that reflects as the sunshine hits it. This is going at the east end of the trail between the Senior Center and Old Town, so near the community garden where King Crow is right now, so we'll have another one nearby on that. Untitled Number 2. This is 10 foot tall. This will be at the west side of the trail between Old Town and the Senior Center. And this one we think reflects the natural habitat you're about to walk into with the birds above the statue there as well. Low Poly Heart. This will be on the median and Main Street going into Old Town. This is about a 5 foot tall. We are going to have it on a small pedestal, so it won't be up as high as this one shows it to be. But it's an interesting and attractive piece that we think is a welcoming piece as you come into the Old Town area there. Roja is about 8 feet tall. This will be at Houston Street and Hammond over near the collective offices on that side of Old Town. This one is currently installed in another location, and so we won't be getting this one until about the June time frame, so this will be a little bit later than some of the others that we'll be installing earlier. Untitled, 8 feet tall. This one by Scott Shubin, who we have a couple of large pieces by the back pavilion in Andy Brown Park. He's also done this one as well. This will be at the entrance to the senior center, and I think will be a real welcoming and attracting kind of piece to go there as well. Chameleon. This one's kind of different than ones we've done just from the color scheme and the patterns, but it's an interesting piece. This we're planning to put in the Old Town community lawn. This is a kinetic art piece, but it's not wind-driven. It's manually movement-driven. So the circular piece in the middle moves around the pole separate from the top section and the bottom section. It actually is meant to engage people to go out there and interact with it. And so this will be in the main lawn area where we think it'll get the most engagement from that aspect. Space between dots and dashes. This is an 11-foot tall one. This is over by the senior center as well. An abstract, attractive piece that we think will fit in well with the other one that we have in that general area there. Okay, so that's the sculptures at this point that we've selected and the locations that we have tentatively approved. I wanted to mention a couple other things, just time frames of when things are happening. These will be installed in the April-May time frame, except for that one Roja that'll be later in June. And then I wanted to mention real quick sponsorship and the Art Stroll event around this. So sponsorship, we've done something a little bit different this year. We have a third category. We still have the exhibition sponsor, which is $3,500, which is the overall exhibition sponsor for the 2-year time frame that Frost Bank was previously. Then we have a corporate sponsor, which is $1,800 for an individual sculpture sponsorship for the 2-year time frame. And we've added a group sponsorship, which again is $1,800 for an individual sculpture, but we can have up to 12 individuals donating $150 a piece to get to that overall $1,800. So the intention, again, is to try to make this art more accessible to the community and let people be more engaged in it at a lower dollar amount. We've done some different things with the sponsorship benefits that come out of that. We're going to have some T-shirts printed up on people that get sponsorships in early enough. The wine mugs that will be handed out at the Art Stroll event will have some sponsorship names on there. And then we've done a co-branding sponsorship thing with the Art Center, where anybody that sponsors one of our sculptures will get a permanent backseat nameplate in the main theater in the new Art Center going forward. So just another way to tie in the things we're doing with the arts in the city and try to engage more people in the sponsorship. Save the Red Pony, Taria talked about that, and we are looking for not only sponsorship for the 2-year time frame, but bigger sponsors to purchase that and keep that here long term. Then we've got our kickoff event, which is the Art Stroll. This is Friday night this year, Friday, May 17th, run from 6 to 9 p.m. As in the past, this is a fundraiser for the Arts Council. So we will be selling VIP tickets and general admission tickets. The VIP tickets are $75. General admission is $15 this year. But it, again, is going to start at the Senior Center, where there will be welcoming. There will be music, food, drinks on the back patio. It will then walk over to the Old Town area, and the Farmers Market Pavilion is going to be kind of the center of attention with a band and music there. But we're going to have a night market with booths of artists and interaction that goes on under the pavilion there, as well as a couple of food trucks and things like that. We're looking at using the old Quincy's Hall as our VIP area this year, and there will be another set of musicians for the VIP area. There'll be a raffle available to VIPs. They'll get some drink and food coupons as part of their VIP tickets. And then, they'll get some swag bags with some goodies and things like that as well. So it'll be a little bit more contained than we had last time when it was under the pavilion. and I think it's going to work out well as far as how we go there. So either one of these areas, whether it's sponsorship or the art stroll, information can be gotten at the CoppellArtsCouncil.org. But additionally, at the stroll, as we've done in the past, we'll have activities at each of the art locations that you can move around, enjoy the evening, and participate in interactive kind of things that are happening along there. So lots of good things happening. We encourage everyone who may be watching this to go to CoppellArtsCouncil.org and purchase a ticket or get involved in the sponsorships. But I'm open for questions if you have any at this point.
Questions? Councilmember Yingling.
Thank you. Great presentation. We're really excited about the art stroll. That's one of my favorite events of the year. So luckily, I'm going out of town, but I'm not leaving until Saturday. So I'm so glad you're having it on Friday this year. So
it should be over before sunrise.
Yeah, that'll be.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully. A question on the Red Pony. How much are you hoping to raise to save the Red Pony?
The discounted price, which is pretty significantly discounted, is $8,500 to purchase it. So what we are offering is anybody who donates $2,000 or more will get their name on a permanent plaque in front of the Red Pony. So we'll have potentially multiple names on the plaque.
Okay. And then I'm assuming anybody who does a sponsorship for the event will get VIP tickets, like to sponsor the group, or tickets. I don't know what type of tickets, but...
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Anybody that is a corporate or a exhibition sponsor gets some free VIP tickets to the
going to
art
talk that
stroll
up to a
event.
couple people. So
Yes.
Thanks so much.
And all the
Appreciate it.
information of all the benefits they get is on the website if you want to see details of
We're
it.
excited about it. So, and I love that you're going to keep it in the central location with the Quincy's. That's going to be great. Be good. Thanks so much.
You bet.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, when we started doing the loan of the art exhibit, I just saw it as a way to put up some art without having to spend a whole lot of cash for it. But I got to hand it to the Arts Council. I think it's turned into an excellent way for rotating the exhibits, keeping interest up, getting the enthusiasm. The Red Pony is a good example of finding things that really hit home. So I got to hand it to you guys for having the vision to do that. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. And of course, we appreciate the support the city and council has offered over the years, because I really do think it adds a quality of life aspect. But it also lets us have some gathering places around art in the city as well. So thank you all for that.
Yeah, I give you guys kudos because you did really have grown this and morphed it into something that I think you were kind of hoping that it would, but when you got the encouragement from the people of the city and the people that showed up, the attendance, those types of things, it has grown, and now people actually ask, are we doing that Art Splash thing again? It's a pretty cool thing. Pretty cool thing.
Can I just add one thing to that?
Mm-hmm.
Our student liaison showed me a picture the other day that she'd taken of a Coppell High School student, AP art maybe, a photograph they'd taken. I think they entered into state, and it was of one of the sculptures. So it felt like it had sort of come around. You know, they created a piece of art out of one of our pieces of art, and I just was like, I love it. It feels like
just put a big old smile on your face.
It really
It did. And we're continuing to work with Alex on things that we can do together with the new art center that's coming in. I think there's really some synergy there where we can help promote each other as we go through that. So
that will be awesome. That will be awesome. And that'll be here before we know it as well.
It will be, yes.
And thank you to each of the different groups within the Art Council that have stepped up and helped in some of the different ways to promote the videos and those types of things. I'm sure you had fun doing it, but it's also fun for us to watch, so we appreciate that.
I just want to make another shout out to the McCanns and the Longs for getting the King Crow there. So that's a great thing. So thanks for doing that.
Thank you very much.
I should mention that as the sculptures are here for their 2-year period, they are all pretty much available for purchase. And so we love the fact that they've stepped up and done this, and we'd like to see more of that over time. So.
Okay. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you all
We
very much.
appreciate you.
Appreciate your support.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is citizens' appearance, and no one has signed up to speak. So we will go to the consent agenda. The consent agenda are items A and B today. I would say that they're rotating on the screen, but here they come. Approval of the minutes, and then there we go. A and B. These are items that are generally enacted in one motion and have either been approved by previous council action or by budget. Are there any questions about the items on the consent agenda? Hearing none. Councilmember Mays.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve consent agenda items 14A and B.
Second by Councilmember Roden. All in favor?
Councilmembers Long, Hinojosa Smith, Mays, Roden, Yingling, Matthew Hill in favor, none opposed. The motion carries.
Thank you. That is the end of the consent agenda, and now we'll go to public hearing. Open the public hearing and consider approval of S-1033R 6-SF-12 Vistas Coppell Classical Academy zoning change request from S1033R5SF12 to S1033R6SF12, a special use permit to approve the revised site plan and landscape plan for the extension of a fire lane and addition of 46 parking spaces on 4.85 acres of property located at 140 South Hearst Road at the request of Responsive Education Solutions, represented by Josh Barton, PE-GNA McAdams. And we have Ms. Perrone Boswell to help us with this.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. This public hearing is for what was once Christ Our Savior Lutheran Church. This building, just a brief history, was constructed in 1989. It did have two phases associated with it. Phase one was constructed with the layout that you kind of see right now. There was a phase two that did propose at some point in time to extend the fire lane and add additional parking. So at that time, it was proposed for a total build-out to have about 150 parking spaces. Over the last 30 years, this site has transitioned from a church with classrooms and a nursery to a classroom with church uses, and now it's strictly a school use for a charter school. So what we are looking here is, if you see on the screen, we have two entrances off of Hertz that go onto the site, but they do not connect. So these identified in red are the actual fire lanes, and they don't connect. So what is being proposed is to extend the fire lane and to add an additional 46 new parking spaces. So this will create better circulation through the site, getting traffic off of Hertz Road, allow for better drop-off, and also add additional parking spaces for whenever they have special events on site. So there's the proposed parking spaces. In terms of landscaping for this site, it does exceed what is required by ordinance. In order to put the fire lane in on the southern end, right here, they're going to have to take out 4 trees. However, those trees are being replaced. So they're going to put in an additional 4 trees along the southern border, as well as 6 ornamental trees to make up the difference. Any dead landscaping on site will also be replaced, because we did go out on site and take a look, whether it be through weather or other things. We have talked to them about replacing some landscaping as well. So the overall goal for this is to improve the traffic circulation. So currently, while there is a driveway entrance on London Way, it is gated off, so there's no exit or entrance through it. It's more of a emergency access. There are two entrances from Hertz. With this extended fire lane, they will join together into improved circulation pattern through the site. So you'll come in through one of these two entrances and then merge and drop off and pick up through here. We did send out notices, 62 within 200 feet, another 244 within 800 feet. We did get one reply letter. They were undecided. We did get a couple of phone calls. We did have a gentleman or two gentlemen show up at our P&Z meeting. Hopefully we addressed their concerns. I believe one of them is here this evening. And I'll respond to that. So the Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend approval of S1033R6 SF12 Vista Coppell Classical Academy with the following conditions: that there may be additional comments generated during detailed engineering review. 2, that this charter school will be licensed and maintained in accordance with state law and may provide instruction for kindergarten through 8th grade. 3, that the student enrollment capacity under this special use permit shall not exceed 500 students. Currently they have about 470. All landscaping shall be maintained in a healthy and growing condition as is appropriate for the season of the year. This shall include mowing, edging, pruning, fertilizing, watering, weeding, and other such activities common to the maintenance of landscaping. Plant materials which die shall be replaced. Number 5, that all fencing shall be reviewed for code compliance and be maintained in good condition. Do you have any questions?
Excuse me, this is a public hearing. Is someone here for the applicant? Do you have anything that you would like to add?
Let me get this presentation up real quick. All righty, good evening. Josh Barton with G&A McAdams, 111 Hillside Drive in Louisville, Texas. I'm the civil engineer representing RES for this one. So really, I have a quick presentation, really just going to cover exactly what Mary already did, and then I wanted to address a couple of the concerns that some citizens had at P&Z last time. So as Mary said, here's the previous site plan. We're connecting these two fire lanes for better circulation, better fire access, and to add some additional parking for PTO events and stuff like that to where they need additional spaces. One of the concerns at P&Z was that we had all of our trees in the southeastern corner that we were adding. And the reason we had that is because there's an existing overhead power line right here, and you can't put red oaks there because they get too tall. And so we worked with staff and were able to put in some ornamental species under here that won't encroach upon the overhead power, but we can also kind of space them out a little bit better adjacent to the existing residence to the south. Then the other item that was discussed was just the state of the existing landscaping, and as y'all saw in P&Z's kind of requirements, that all the existing landscaping that's dead needs to be replaced. And so immediately following P&Z, RES went out and they asked their maintenance crews to get out there and install whatever was missing, as you can see. And also these little brown lines are irrigation lines, so there is irrigation out there, and that was another topic that we didn't know if there's irrigation, or that was a question at least. And so there is irrigation, and it will be maintained, and RES is committed to that. So that's the only additional spiel I had for it. I'm happy to answer any questions you have for me.
Thank you. Thank you very much. There is no one that has signed up to speak, so I will turn it over to the council for questions. Councilmember Roden.
Thank you, Mayor. A question. I mean, I think this is great because it's a real improvement to tie that fire lane together. The only question I've got is how and I know we've done this before, and make sure that the lighting that's installed over that parking is shielded so that it doesn't spill over London Way to the east onto those houses. So, is that just part of our inspection process?
Correct. So any lighting that will be proposed will be shielded and should not. There's requirements so that it doesn't reach over a certain foot candle at the property line.
Any other council member Mays?
Thank you, Mayor. So it looks like the pass-through area, the connection, is going to take a considerable amount of their playground. What was the plan for that?
So the main playground, I guess, that's fenced in is right in here, and that's going to stay in place. I'm sorry, you can't see mine.
So this area here.
Yep. Thanks, Mary.
Yeah. So this area here is already fenced in. I believe out in this general location they have like a
backstop.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going to turn in the turnaround. That's going to be, they're going to put a basketball goal there is the plan for now. And there'll be fencing all the way along the southern edge of that to protect the kids from running into the fire lane if a ball starts going that way.
Right.
They've accounted for it. And like I said at P&Z, they have something in Parker Square in the town of Flower Mound where it's all concrete. They'll find a way for the kids to play and burn that energy, so they're on board with this.
Was there any discussion to movement of the dumpster during the negotiations?
There was not. There was not, yeah.
Okay. And on the landscape plan, you were showing vegetation along London Way on the northern side. Is that gonna remain?
Yes. And that's what they planted of all the dead material that was along there. They've replanted that, and they'll maintain it.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Yingling.
Yes, I was just going to ask if you could pass on to your folks because we run into this sometimes when the landscaping dies, to replace it before, it needs that you have to come to us and ask us for something. So we'd like to see the landscape maintained of what it's supposed to be. So if you could pass that on, we'd appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
One question that I had at drop-off time, the queue, I guess, spills out both north on Hertz and south on Hertz. Is this anticipated to help that?
Yes, ma'am. So let's see. So this will actually, because at this point in time, the only entrance into it is here, and you're coming around this way. So you're probably queuing up this way to go in. Whereas with this scenario, you'll have two ways to come in. So the queue will be a lot longer, and it'll be on site versus on the road. So this will definitely help with circulation.
It'll make it go fast. No, wait, I'll take that back. It'll store more cars, but it
Correct.
won't go faster because you still have the one drop-off spot.
It's close
Correct.
to
But
600
the
feet
idea
of
is
additional
getting the
stacking.
getting the cars off of the street
Back up, okay.
and on site. So you're allowing traffic flow to go to flow better on Hertz.
Okay. Oh, okay. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none. Councilmember Yingling.
Just move to close the public hearing and move to approve item number 15.
Second by Councilmember Long. All in favor?
Long, Keynote, Smith, Mays, Roden, Yingling, Matthew Hill. In favor, none opposed. The motion carries.
Thank you very much. 16 is also a public hearing. I will open the public hearing, and I'm going to ask Ms. Diamond to read it into the record.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is number 16. Consider approval of ZC 627, 361, and 365 Hearthstone Lane in the real portions, being a rezoning request from H Historic to SF9 on 0.3 acres of property located approximately 120 feet west of Hearthstone Lane and approximately 153 north of West Bethel Road, being the rear portions of 361 and 365 Hearthstone Lane at the request of David and Fiona Bartleg and Amy and Michael Curtis, being represented by Eddie Rodriguez, Rose Land Surveying. Okay, this item, again, it's a very simple zoning request from H is SF9, but it kind of has a little bit of a history and long story. I'm going to be very quick and explain to you. Back in 2001, this property owner, which was known as the Vaughn Edition, wanted to reduce the size of their property. So they reduced it to 0.03 acres. At the same time, these two properties, one being subject to tonight's public hearing, wanted to increase their property. So they replatted these two residential lots to be, the northern lot to be 0.6 acres, Mr. Bartlett's lot to be 0.8, and reduced the size of the Vaughn Edition to 0.3. Actually, the next year, this property is right to the south where we were just talking about. They want to increase the sizes of their lots. This was the old, I think, cable company, and so they abandoned that property. And these two property owners replatted and made their lots larger, which kind of ended up with kind of an awkward platting layout. So these three property owners got together and came in to replat their properties to make them basically make more sense. So P&Z on March 21st approved a replat of these two lots on Hearthstone to basically be equal size of those to the south, and did allow for the replatting of the Vaughn Edition back to basically where it was before, about 0.9 acres. All that being said was through all that transition, there was this 0.3 acres that was actually the rear side of the residential lots that did retain their historic district zoning that they want to zone SF9 tonight. So, again, what's before you is a ZC 627, which would rezone this little portion of land from SF9 to historic. We did send 15 notices within 200 feet, another 147 notices within 800 feet. We received one response in favor. And therefore, on March 21st, the Planning and Zoning Commission, by unanimous vote, did recommend approval of ZC 627, 361, and 365 Hearthstone Lane to rezone from historic to SF9. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. The applicants are in the audience.
Thank you very much, because that is confusing. Do you have anything you would like to add?
I do not, but I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you. There has been no one who has signed up to speak, so I'm going to turn this over to council. Do you have any questions? Councilmember Roden.
I just want to say I appreciate y'all sticking around through a lot of other stuff to get to a very simple case.
The only question I have is that zoning matches the front property,
right?
And as long, so that now has the same. Okay. Yes. Okay. Any?
So did we get back to where we started from the beginning?
Not quite. A little different. It's a little different. I think we're done. If is there anyone who has any questions, I will entertain a motion. Councilmember Mays.
I actually meant, are we done with the rezoning of it? But
oh, sorry.
Okay. I move to close the public hearing and approve item number 16.
Second by Councilmember Hill. All in favor?
Long, Hinojosa, Smith, Mays, Roden, Yingling, Matthew Hill in favor. None opposed. The motion carries.
There you go. Congratulations. Item 17, City Manager's Report, Project Update and Future Agendas.
Mayor and Council, I just have just a couple of project updates. Parkway, in case you haven't noticed, it's under construction. And people are really happy, especially at school pickup time and drop-off time in the mornings. So if you can take an alternative route during those peak hours, that would be great. Secondly, Freeport construction continues as well. They're making progress. And if you have not gone by the Art Center, you can see that they're making a tremendous amount of progress right now. and it's really exciting. And we'll be getting that video posted, I think, within the next day or two. Is that Brooke? Is it already posted? All right. But it wasn't this morning. Okay, good. Yes. If you have a chance to take a look at it, that'd be great. By the way, I told Alex that he's got this. Everybody figured that out? Okay. Just want to make sure the pun worked. The last thing is, Mary, you may be mentioning it, that we do have a work session scheduled for next Tuesday night, the 16th, to go over the 2040. It's not on your list? I did good then. All right. That's all I have, Mayor.
Any questions for the city manager? Hearing none. Item 18 is mayor and council reports. This is reports on recent and upcoming events. We heard from the library that there will be story time at the plaza tomorrow at 10:30. It's a special story time at our storybook walk, and it's for all ages. If there is inclement weather, which I think tomorrow is supposed to be nice, just cooler, they just look at the library's site and they will be able to tell you what's going on. This Saturday, April 13th, we have Eco Coppell Earth Fest, and that is from 9 to 12. Celebrate Earth Fest at the Farmers Market. Earth Fest is a celebration of Coppell's commitment to the environment. It is an entertaining and educational experience. Visit many vendors for environmental education and learn how to be more sustainable. Collect giveaways, and then also the market will be going on, and there will also be plants for sale. Along about that same time at the farmers market, we will also have coffee with the cops. So just go to the farmers market and you can shop and learn and visit with police officers. And police officers will be there from 8:30 to 10:30. Next Saturday, the 20th, is the Extravaganza. That is from 10 to 12, and that is, doesn't say where it is. It's at Wagon Wheel, is it not? Yes, it's at Wagon Wheel. So make sure that you, if you are interested in doing this, that you are there on time, because once they say go, it is over. So be there promptly at 10:30 for the kids ages up to 6, and then at 11 for kids ages 7 to 10. There are candy and toy-filled eggs are abundance, and then there will also be bounce houses, face painting, music, photos with the bunny, and more. So it is just a really fun time, and the total, that's from 10 until 12. And then on Monday, April 22nd at 7 p.m., there is going to be a presentation about the opioid crisis. You can find out what the opioid crisis is and what you can do to keep your family safe from prescription drug misuse. June Diebel will discuss opioid crisis and the ways we can prevent this problem in partnership. And again, where do you know where that is? Pardon me? You're looking? Okay. Okay. We'll come back to you with that. Are there any other items or events that people want to announce? Uh-huh.
So is the volunteer appreciation event this Thursday?
This Thursday.
This Thursday.
This Thursday.
Andy Brown East. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
We don't have a location for that? It is at the library? Thank you very much. It is at the library at 7 p.m. on Monday the 22nd. Item 19, public service announcements. Any of those? We do have action necessary from executive session. Councilmember Roden.
Thank you, Mayor. I would move to extend the city manager's contract through September 2021 and to provide a 3% increase in current base salary of the city manager effective October 1st, 2019.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Long. All in favor?
Long, Hinojosa, Smith, Mays, Roden, Yingling, Matthew Hill. In favor, none opposed, the motion carries.
There is no other business to come before us, and the time is 9:24. We are adjourned.